So, all right, Campbell. So, one thing I know for sure is that every single country in this realm has huge areas that are restricted or forbidden. So, let's just start with what's obvious to us. So, we know just in Australia that, there's whole chunks, apart from all the Pine Gap area and apart from all the, um, restricted military areas. There's literally a whole edge of Australia. If you go from South Australia up into Western Australia at the bottom end, that's completely restricted. Like you literally cannot drive there and you can't get to the edge of Australia. Now that's fucking weird and bizarre, right? So that's number one thing in Australia. I think. Campbell, have you frozen? No.
No, I'm here. I'm here. Yep. Oh, can you hear me?
So, so we know. So all around the world, yes, I can hear you. I thought you were deep in thought. All
No.
around the world, they do things like create national park. They do things that create national parks. They create restricted areas. They go under the guise of indigenous protection. So they will protect whole massive million acres of land masses, mountains, waterfalls, lakes, all sorts of things they will make restricted. And certainly since 2019, that has come up big time in Australia. Like they've restricted the Grampians and Lake Eyre and Mount Warning, which is here in the Northern Rivers. Like there's security guards not letting you go
Mm,
up there anymore.
yep.
So they under the guise of Indigenous rights, which, and this is not just in Australia, this is all over the place. For example, the Canyon, right? 90% of it is out of bounds.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. And, we're not saying that those, photos are true or anything. What we're doing is questioning what we've been told because, it seems like a very far out kind of a topic, right? But when put in all this restricted area, there was those videos came out
Oh,
6 months ago
right.
about Australia and the rabbit fence and that it was blocking off, paths to
Yeah.
Antarctica and all this stuff. But the Great
Yeah.
Australian Bight, you can't go there. We get
Yeah.
all these photos, right, of this Great Australian Bight, but you're not allowed to go and look at it. So we don't know how far that is from Antarctica, really. We know that if you take your boat off the coast, a couple of miles, that the Navy will turn up. We know that. We know that if you try and walk through the Grand Canyon, that black helicopters will turn up, right? So these places, they're restricted, but they're restricted with force. Like literally, if you try and enter, the army will turn up. And if you don't turn around, they'll start shooting. So why is this? What are they actually
Why?
protecting? Hmm.
Why?
Why?
Why? So, and this is across the whole realm. This isn't just country specific. The whole realm is suffering from these restrictions. So then, if you add all that together, it does lend kudos to the fact that the map of the Earth is definitely different. Well, we already know that, but like even more so.
Yeah, I do.
And like just side note, everyone, we know that like the technology back then was so much more advanced than what we have today. So one should, by logical rationale, like take the maps that were created back then as much more truthful than the maps that we have today. Now look at that. So there's the pond in the middle.
Yeah, and none of this is frozen, and we know that we're not allowed to go here, right?
Yep. You're
Antarctica,
restricted.
Arctic, totally restricted. And if you come down here, this is India, so this is China, Russia. Over here we have North America, right? South America. What's this?
Yeah.
What's this massive landmass here?
Yeah.
Right? So we don't know if there's other land masses out there, right? And, with what's going on, if water levels are changing, who says that there aren't land bridges across here, that you can just walk across there? Literally
Where's
walking from,
Australia on this map?
well, this is Australia on the outside.
Yeah. See, exactly. What the fuck
It,
is
do-
Australia?
it doesn't exist. It's basically
Oh,
this, is what I can tell. With the place with, dragons.
yeah. Australia always is outside these maps, which is
Hmm.
interesting because one whole side of Australia that would link us to what they would tell us would be, you know, the pole, the South Pole, wouldn't it? That's what they would tell us.
Yeah.
We would link to. Um, but we can't access it. It's completely forbidden for no reason. But fuck, Australia could be the entire like walkable gateway to,
Mm.
the outer realm.
Exactly. And what they do, making this a globe, right? They turn this outer ring
Yep.
into a dot,
Yep.
into a dot like this. So imagine how much of the map is has to be cut out for them to do that.
Yep.
Like 99.9% of it has to go. So if when you look at it like that, it's not that hard for them to hide land everywhere, right? To, cut out all these lands that they don't want us to know exist, right? Like this one here, which is, I guess, that's kind of where Japan is. But Japan, we're told, is just this little tiny island, right?